Hi. Exploring life is something that all human beings like to do, and we often go to an internal journey to explore ourselves inside, which is part of our natural process of growth. So in this video, I want to talk specifically about exploring the sensation and the experience of humility. I've decided to call this video The Power of Humility because it's a wonderful paradox that I believe is missing in our culture, where we're misunderstanding both what power is and what humility is, and somehow they seem to belong together. So I want to try to lay that out in this video. First of all, I believe that humility is a misunderstood and underappreciated human emotion as well as physical sensation, and I want to explore that. What's interesting about it, even though I belong to the field of psychology and body work, humility is not often explored in those fields. Other human body sensations are happy, sad, painful, relieved, restful, but humility isn't often explored. Are you feeling humble? I don't ask that after I give a massage. I usually don't ask it after a psychotherapy session. And oddly enough, though, that paradox of humility and power has been already recognized in the business world. And I'm going to show you a few examples of this. Leadership is humility and confidence, not humiliation and arrogance. Don't confuse them. I thought this is perfect. This gives a very rational explanation of how humility has been pushed out of appreciation in our world quite often, and in our cultures and societies, because we've confused humility with humiliation, and we've confused arrogance as confidence, and they're completely different sensations. So I want to explore this a little further. And then there was another book that I looked at. The X factor of great leadership is not personality, it's humility. So a lot of people are going around trying to develop their personality and being stronger and better and more powerful and more insightful. All of that is trying to develop a personality, but it's missing the foundation on which that type of personality should be built, which is humility. Now, another example of leadership and humility is here, where they give the 5 levels of the hierarchy of leadership. And on the top level, the most important one, level 5, the executive builds enduring greatness through a paradoxical blend of personal humility and professional will. And that's what has, I think, been missing a little bit in our culture, or put on the side, is everyone's trying to develop this professional will and pushing themselves to be professional and the best professional, and yet they're missing this seemingly intricate blend of personal humility that belongs with professional will. Now, here's another book that I enjoyed looking at the title. The title says, Start with Humility, but then it says, Lessons from America's Quiet CEOs on How to Build Trust and Inspire Followers. And I love the idea of quiet CEO having the quality of humility. Humility somehow seems to embrace, which we are going to explore, quietness, gentleness, softness, which is the balance to fast and hard and direct. But we need both, and actually to be the best leader. And then finally, humility is the best business strategy. So a lot of people say to me, how do I build my business? And so they're looking at all business models to do that. And I believe the first step for all of us always is to go internally and find our own place of humility and groundedness and build the business model from an internal sense of ourselves. So in this video, we're going to explore the sensation of humility, specifically in the TRE process. So my question is, why don't our cultures generally explore humility as a natural, healthy, human emotion, such as happiness, sadness, or groundedness, and other emotions that we explore? We explore all the realms of human emotions and very seldom explore this realm of humility. So let's do that here. in order to explore humility, I kind of had to go around in different ways, reading different books and looking at different articles that included groundedness, humility, and I'm going to include the tremor mechanism in the TRE process because I believe it deliberately is designed to lead us in the direction of grounded humility. For those of you who are not familiar with TRE, which stands for Tension and Trauma Releasing Exercises, and the tremor mechanism, which it is designed to evoke, I'm going to give you a brief video clip here of someone who's tremoring. This tremor mechanism is very organic and easy to activate. Eventually, the tremor mechanism is designed to lead the person into a relaxed state. And it is from this state that I believe the person accesses what we call groundedness and humility. In order to understand humility better, we need to look at its definitions as it has changed over the centuries. So I'm going to start with the 21st century first and work backwards towards the definitions of humility to show how it evolved and potentially where it was misunderstood or misdirected. So the 21st century, in general, the term humility literally means low. If you feel humility, you feel small, simple, or an insignificant person. In the 14th century, humility comes from the word Latin, or humilitatem, and that meant pious, meek, and obedient. However, that was also then used to control people and to control power, so that the word pious and meek and obedient evolved into low self-worth, self-denial, insignificance, inferiority, and unfortunately, most importantly, subservience. It was a way to have power over people, and it was a misuse and abuse of that power. So the word eventually started twisting itself into humiliating or humiliation. And that's not what it means, but it's how it was twisted to be used. So let's go further back in time and let's look at the Proto-Indo-European definition. And the root meaning of humility is earth, literally on the ground. And it comes from the word humus. And even further back than that, the Sanskrit word humility comes from the word chasam, which is earth, as opposed to the sky, which is Greek kython. The earth, solid surface of the earth, or chamai, on the ground. So humility in its earliest words, or its earliest sensation and understanding, meant being on the ground, or recognizing or even feeling that I am from the earth, I am part of the ground, and that when I feel my connection to the earth, I feel humility. Because now I feel I am that small part of this bigger evolutionary process that's going on in life. So my question then, is humility the sensation of groundedness in our human organism? And is humility our most primitive sensation of being from the earth? So I'm suggesting or asking, is humility groundedness? And is groundedness humility? So let's explore this with some more questions. Is the tremor mechanism evoking our natural earth-like bodily sensation? Which to me would be groundedness. We accept that, but would that also include the sensation of humbleness or humility? Is it the tremor impulse which causes us to feel once again that we are from the earth or from the ground? When we tremor the human body in TRE, it's a remarkably primitive mechanism in the human organism. If it's that primitive of a mechanism in the human organism, it must have some connection with us feeling our place as a human person on the planet. Does our organic pulsation evoke our most primitive connection with Earth? Does this mean that the tremor mechanism actually evokes our most natural human states of humility and groundedness. So now we're beginning to connect groundedness and humility, but we don't have a word that connects those. So they still seem two separate experiences for us. So for lack of vocabulary, I have to hyphenate the words. So my question then is, grounded humility or humble groundedness returning to our natural inner relationship with our ground? And so with this more ancient definition, does it mean that humility and groundedness are synonyms? Do they mean the same thing? Are they the same sensation, actually? So now that I put humility and groundedness together, I'm asking myself, what's the ultimate goal of human beings on this planet? And in general, as I've traveled the world, we all have two things that we want. We want to feel safe inside ourselves, and we want to feel some sort of inner peace within ourselves. So safety and inner peace seem to be global. Everybody wants those. It seems to be the nature of being human. So my question around that is grounded humility the only sensation in the body that can produce the safety, inner peace, stillness, comfort, and security that all of humanity ultimately seeks? Does the tremor mechanism help move us to this state of humble groundedness or grounded humility? And is that the very state that we need to be in order to fulfill our most intimate desire of feeling safe and having inner peace? So let's look at somebody who's helped demonstrate this, I believe, on the planet quite well, and that would be Mahatma Gandhi. And so he was quoted as saying, "Man is truly known by the humility of his heart." And I simply rewrote it for contemporary times, saying a person is truly known by the humility of their heart. Now, I was reading an article in researching this question of humility, and I came across a woman who met a man who was humble, and she describes her experience, and it's quite interesting. She said, "When I meet someone who radiates humility, my shoulders relax, my heart beats a little more quietly, and something inside me lets go, because I know that I'm being fully seen, heard, and accepted for who I am, a precious and rare gift that allows our protective walls to come down." Now that's fascinating. She meets somebody who's humble, and it completely changes her own inner sense of self. Physiologically, she can feel the relaxation occur, and then she feels an openness in her heart because her protective walls come down. So her ability for relationship even changes around experiencing somebody who's humble. Is this person describing a sense of groundedness that she experiences when being around someone who is humble? So if we look at our polyvagal curve, we could see that humility and groundedness cause exactly the same sensation of social engagement, where a person feels relaxed enough in themselves and therefore safe enough to extend outward into relationship, into socially engaging with others. And so our question is, or naturally should be, when we are feeling grounded humbleness or humble groundedness, is that when we are truly experiencing our ventral vagal system, our social engagement system? And is that the only way that we could ever get people to come down from those higher states where they feel unsettled or disturbed because of stressful or traumatic experiences in their life, and they're coming to the TRE provider to actually help bring them down to that place, and they're needing the TRE provider to have humble groundedness and grounded humility. And with that, they will automatically begin the sensation of letting go and allowing them, their walls to come down, and allowing them to heal their own trauma or stress or their own tension or their own anxieties. So I decided to put together some questions that we can ask ourselves as we try to explore our own experiences of humility in life, and what value they might have for us. So just as we explore the sensation of groundedness as a natural human experience, we should also explore humility as a natural human experience, sensation, feeling, and or emotion. It may be all of those. And so we need to explore, when I have humility or when I experience humility, how do I know that? Every one of us has experiences of humility. You can ask this around the world, and everyone knows what the word means, and they know they've had that experience. So what does humility feel like? Just as we usually describe happiness and sadness and fear or anger, we describe all those. How would we describe humility? And when do I experience humility? Are there certain experiences in life around certain people, certain situations, or within myself at certain times? When do I experience humility? And how do I know I'm experiencing humility? How do you know that when you're having the experience? There must be indicators that tell you this is an experience or sensation of humility. It's not happiness, it's not sadness, it's not something else, it's humility. How are you able to single that out and use that one word to describe that sensation? It must be different in some way from the other sensations you experience. And what does the sensation of humility do to me? When I experience humility, what does that do? Does it change the way I behave, the way I feel about myself? Does it change even the way I hold myself in my body? Does it change the way I have relationship with others? So what does the sensation of humility do to me? And have I ever met someone who was humble, and how did I know it? How do we know to say, oh, you have to meet this person? They're so humble. They're so interesting because they're so humble. How do we know they're humble? What were the indicators in me that caused me to say they were a humble person? And how did this person make me feel? When I'm in the presence of humility or a humble person, how does that change the way I feel within myself? And so then we need to ask a deeper question: what value does humility have in my life? It must have some value, and it would be important for us to figure it out, because if we can figure out that it has value to us, we will actually seek out that experience, and we'll try to figure out how to have it more deeply and more often. And then the final question, which is a more expansive question, which also includes this idea of social engagement or human beings be connecting to one another, is what value might the sensation of humility have for myself and the human race? What would happen if all of the people on the planet woke up tomorrow feeling humble? How would that change the planet? And so we have to ask ourselves, should we be evoking or trying to increase or pursue this sensation of humility, this quality within our own lives, so that we can, in fact, take this out and share it with others, so that all of us reestablish a sensation of humility and how that can change the interactions of humans on the planet?